Welcome to Gazali. Today we have with us a very special personality, Apoorvanand. He lives in Delhi. He is a professor at the Delhi University and he's a prolific writer in Hindi as well as in English. And he's a writer and an activist. He has been writing a lot about the political situations today. He is a great pluralist, a Gandhian. Today, we are going to basically discuss with him Mahatma Gandhi. Next year, 2019, is the 150th anniversary of both Mahatma Gandhi and Kasturba Gandhi. We at Museum of Goa are also working for the last 3-4 years on the Gandhi project. Gandhi has been sort of more relevant today than perhaps he ever was. He had a great contribution to the Indian freedom struggle. He has a great contribution in forming what is the idea of India. And today, he becomes more and more relevant. My uncle, Ravindra Kelekar, is a great son of Goa and who got the Jnanapith Award, wrote the biography of Gandhi for the Indian National Congress when Congress celebrated the 100th anniversary. The last sentence of this biography is a very interesting sentence. He says, "Ekvisavo shekado tatso, Gandhicho." The 21st century belongs to Gandhi. What will be your opinion, sir?
I think it's so right. Gandhi is a man of 21st century. He was much ahead of his time. When people were thinking that violence is the mean through which you can end injustice and you can free yourself from oppression, Gandhi said that no, violence itself is unfreedom and violence itself is undemocratic. And he was so right. We see it today because violence, revolutionaries thought that violence is the method or the way through which you can end oppression. But violence binds you in a relationship of dominated and those who dominate. And the one who uses violence in itself, in himself, turns into a kind of oppressor because the nature of violence is such. So Gandhi was much ahead of his time. But let me start by saying that we are entering the year of 150th or anniversary of Gandhi's birth. But before that, we're already in the year 70th year of Gandhi's assassination and murder. And this should be our departure point from which we start looking at Gandhi, start looking at the meaning of Gandhi. I think the assassination of Gandhi or the murder of Gandhi is the searchlight which illuminates the life of Gandhi and gives it meaning. Because his birth was not in his hands, but his death, and I would say that Gandhi chose to die this way.
He was very much aware.
He was very much aware. So I think it's his death which tells you more about his life, what he stood for and what he fought for.
Recently, there was this controversy about the fourth bullet or the third bullet.
Fourth bullet.
Fourth bullet. Somebody has just racked up this controversy. But I would say that after that fourth bullet, perhaps there are many more bullets have been fired into Gandhi by many different people, different parties, including perhaps his own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, let's today elaborate essentially on non-violence and Gandhi. Non-violence, different aspects of it. Non-violence in administration, non-violence in government, non-violence in life, non-violence in politics.
I would like to discuss non-violence, the use of non-violence in politics. Because when Gandhi emerged on the scene, Gandhi was already practicing politics in South Africa. So, and he was trying to deal with the rulers there. And essentially he was fighting on behalf of Indians. So he had a very, very, very limited thing. We must understand that. But then he thought that he was on an alien land, a land which was not full of Indians, and where he was struggling or fighting against a mighty force. So how to do it? How to draw the ordinary people in that struggle? That was the challenge. If you adopt a violent strategy, and this is what Gandhi thought, and he also wrote about it, then it becomes very restrictive, because not everyone is adept, or not everyone would be ready to use firearms or to use
A gun or a sword.
a gun or anything like this. So what do? Then you have a very small band of people who would be trained in these methods. And you would also be forced to keep it a secret thing. And it would be a kind of a conspiratorial organization where the members are not allowed to interact freely with the outer world. And the outer world, or the people at large, for whom this group is fighting, also don't know how decisions are being taken in this group. So this is not democratic at all. It doesn't allow people to enter. It doesn't allow a participatory process. And it's a kind of closed thing, a very, very secretive thing. So Gandhi thought about it. And to draw the popular energy in a struggle, it had to be open, and it had to be freed from violence, from this compulsion of being extraordinary or being extraordinarily brave to be able to use weapons or firearms or bombs or something like this.
But at the same time, I may point out that Gandhi's non-violence is also the non-violence of the brave.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. That this is one, because what it does, it takes away elitism from all kinds of freedom struggles or democratic struggles. I would propose that all kinds of armed struggles are elitist in nature, because they immediately push majority out, because you are not seen as capable of taking up this fight. So I'm fighting on your behalf, and this in itself creates a hierarchy of sorts, because I become your liberator and you are to be liberated, and you have to follow me. So the first principle is democratic principle, and second is, as you said, this is non-violence of the brave.
Yes.
This is not something which emerges out of compulsion. This is a choice, a voluntary thing. Because Gandhi said that you have to die for your principles, not kill.
Yeah.
And who can die? Only the brave. The cowards take others' lives, but the braves offer their lives. So if you're not brave, you won't be able to practice non-violence. No. It goes without saying. And therefore Gandhi said that, well, it's not that I am doing it because I am a bechara. I'm not a bechara. I can face you, I can face your army unarmed, without taking up arms. And this is what he proved.
Yeah.
And this is why multitude of Indian masses came out in the open. Women came, unlettered people came, peasants came, laboring people came, people who were never ever would have thought that they could join Anushilan Samiti or
I'll make a
other
little
Samiti.
observation there. The same kind of non-violence principle he practiced in Congress itself, because Congress, when he arrived, was just a group of some 80 people, 80 elite lawyers, and from there it becomes a party of millions.
Because again, because non-violence was essentially a democratic principle. And Gandhi said that without the participation of those for whom you are speaking, the struggle you are taking up doesn't remain democratic. And this is what he also told those who believed in armed struggle or who believed in the methods of terror and who lived in London. And he argued with them, and he had a polemical discussion with them, and out of that emerged Hind Swaraj, where he said that, well, you cannot allow yourself to be the sole bearer of rights of others, because it's the people who would speak for themselves. So your duty is to expand that space in which they act, and that is what he did. And that is how Congress became mass party. And that is why Bhagat Singh also said that the greatest contribution of Gandhi is that he created this mass feeling, which he realized that revolutionary struggles like the struggle in which he was involved have failed to do. And that's why Bhagat Singh said that guns and bombs are not the way to have revolution, because you need to have masses or mass mobilization to bring about this revolution. And this is what Gandhi was doing. So I would even say that had Bhagat Singh lived, he would have followed or taken the path of Gandhi.
Except
it
that
would sound
Gandhi,
very outrageous to some, but Bhagat Singh was moving in that direction, and that's why the organization, there were two organizations. One was which was called Army, and the second was Association, Hindustan Republican Socialist Association and Hindustan Republican Socialist Army. And there's a crucial difference there, because in association you create voluntary associations, and it has to act in the open.
But deviating from this point a little bit, there have been many revolutions in the world, violent revolutions and non-violent revolutions inspired by Gandhi. Is there some kind of a statistics available on the successes of these revolutions and the effects and the endurance of these revolutions?
Well, it has been said that revolutions eat their own children. And this we have seen happening in 20th century. This is how Russian Revolution or Bolshevik Revolution, it's a misnomer, ended by eating its own children. And this is how most of the revolutions ended. Violent revolutions, even Chinese and other revolutions ended. But the most successful revolution is the attainment of freedom by India.
Yes.
And it has lasted. It has lasted. And its promise remains. We do see a kind of crisis taking over, and we are passing through that crisis. But I'm confident that it would somehow overcome this moment. So because this revolution was again democratic and non-violent. Because here we say that we, the people of India, give to ourselves. It has not been given by somebody else or by a group of wise men. So it's not a revolutionary council. It's the people of India who are giving to themselves this constitution. And this is a voluntary thing which we have adopted. And we feel ourselves accountable and responsible for it. So that makes it a somewhat lasting thing.
What kind of violence do you see today in politics?
There is a tendency to use violence in a very elastic manner. So when we start speaking about violence, we start talking about gender, violence based on gender, or violence against the transgenders or violence against women or violence against children or violence taking place on streets. But the most crucial or critical form of violence we must talk about today is genocidal violence. And this is the most threatening thing, especially for India. And genocidal violence is very, very different from other kinds of violence because in other kinds of violence, you kill an individual, you target an individual. But in genocidal violence, the idea is to wipe out an entire identity or anything connected with that identity. So you try to eliminate, and even if it is killing of one person from that community, say for example a Christian or a Muslim being killed in India, the idea behind that killing is that why do you relish that killing? Because you think that you have killed Muslims or you have killed, eliminated Christians. So, and that's why I call it genocidal violence. Because this violence, even when it is restricted to an area or it kills only one person, like Junaid in a moving train or Pahelu Khan on a road in Rajasthan, it is genocidal in nature because it emerges from the idea of eliminating or exterminating all Muslims. And this is the most threatening kind of violence. Because when you beat up a group of carol singing people, why do you beat them up? Because you want to destroy or eliminate Christians. And this is what you get out of that violence. And that is why this violence is the most dangerous thing which we are facing. So we should not try to make violence a very generic kind of thing, because violence against women, these kinds of violence are
so
there.
So this is one genocidal violence. Which are the other violences which you recognize? Violence of intolerance, violence.
The violence of intolerance is again connected with this genocidal violence. Because in genocidal violence, the idea is to eliminate an entire identity. But anything which opposes that or which criticizes that again becomes your target. And your intolerance emerges from there. Because you cannot tolerate a dissenting voice. So these two things are very, very connected. So this genocidal violence in its nature is undemocratic, anti-democratic, and intolerance is entwined with it. Because I am intolerant to anything which is alien, which I want to destroy or I want to eliminate. And anything which supports that alien. And that's why Gandhi said that what is the fundamental principle or what is the test? When in doubt, always side with minorities. And he said that this I learned from a European friend when I was in South Africa. He told me that when in doubt, when there is a conflict between majority and minority and you are in doubt, always side with minorities. This should be the principle. But then who sides with minorities, one who sides with minorities becomes my enemy. And I cannot tolerate him or her. So the violence of intolerance is very closely related to this genocidal violence, I would say.
But in South Africa, actually, Gandhi is only connected with the Indian community more or less. He did not connect at all with the
blacks,
white minorities and the blacks majority. No.
Gandhi was also learning. Gandhi is an evolving figure, ever evolving. And Gandhi recognizes his inadequacy. And Gandhi corrects himself. And Gandhi also evolves in relation to the communities he called Harijans. Because in his interaction with Ambedkar, he realized that Ambedkar is more right. And he writes about it. And he writes about Pune Pact, and he says that we have to be true to Pune Pact. And the test is whether we perform our part or not. He gives credit to Ambedkar for having made that compromise. But Gandhi was also a man of compromises. He said that I am a man of compromises. I am ever ready to compromise. So, and he was an evolving man. So in South Africa, he was not a complete person. He had his deficiencies, but the Gandhi of South Africa is very, very different from the Gandhi of 1946.
Yeah. Because Gandhi of South Africa believed that he is a citizen of the British Empire.
Even 1915,
Yeah.
1916, when he comes to India, he tries to enlist Indians for British Army.
Yeah.
He was trying to do that,
Yeah.
and he didn't get a very encouraging response from India. He writes about it.
Yeah.
He,
To be consistent, only fools are consistent.
yes, and he said that please don't ask me that you had said this in 1916 or 1970s, and to be consistent with that, because what I am saying now is important. So Gandhi is a man of now and here. He is a man who always keeps exploring the moment he is in and trying to respond to that moment. And that's very important, because Gandhi doesn't try to find eternal solutions.
No.
Yes, and Gandhi was a man who was always very, very conscious of the method he was following. He was very true to his method. So it was not that he would use anything, because method had to be...
Means and ends have to both be justified.
So this search for method was very crucial to Gandhian project.
Well, how would you say Gandhi could be now reclaimed in the Indian politics?
So
Can you
there's a
give some
renewed
kind of a
interest-
direction?
There is a renewed interest in Gandhi everywhere. Our government, our state is very much interested in Gandhi. But what it has done, it has turned Gandhi into a brand ambassador for its state cleanliness drive or state sanitation, state-led sanitation drive. And now you see the Gandhian glasses on the state propaganda material. But that is not the Gandhi we should go for. The most significant aspect of Gandhi we must talk about, and we must go back to, is the Gandhi who stands for the rights of minorities. Because this is the most difficult part of Gandhi's life. I would say the last years of Gandhi, starting from 46 to 48 when he died, were the most difficult months of his life. And he says that I have fought the British, and it was a rather easy battle. But now he was fighting with his own people, with Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs. And he failed. And he was killed by them. He was not killed by the British. He was killed by his own people, Hindus. So this was the most difficult battle. He was fighting against his own. And he was trying to tell them that if you are trying to form a modern democracy, it has to be predicated on safeguarding and respecting the rights of minorities and the principles of secularism. So secularism is not a word Gandhi shies away from. It's not a Nehruvian word. It's very much a Gandhi-Nehru invention, an invention of our freedom struggle. So when we try to make Gandhi relevant for us, the most relevant aspect of Gandhian project is the defense of minority rights. And again, the idea of neighborhoods. Because in his last days, Gandhi was trying to tell, because what was his ambition? His ambition was to take the Hindus and Sikhs who had to flee Punjab and other parts, Karachi, back to
Where they were. Yeah.
their original places and to restore them to their neighborhoods. So restoration of neighborhoods was his idea.
We do not have much time, so I think at this point we, I think, sum up. Well, Gandhi cannot be reduced as just a sweeper. He can be, but the sweeping, cleaning, has to be not just the cleaning of outside, but the cleaning of inside. Yes. Only when you clean the inside and get rid of the hate, get rid of intolerance, that will be the true sweeping. I will end with a very small observation which I read recently. Gandhi's non-violence is based on a premise that if I harm somebody, I am also harmed.
Yes.
So it is violence is basically something which if I do some harm to somebody else, then I am also harmed.
Yes.
It is based on an idea of a universal consciousness. It is based on an idea that I am connected with you and you are connected with him and with everybody. This was so far a very philosophical idea. But in recent years, there has been very interesting research happening in neurophysics. And in neurophysics, they have proven something very interesting. If you touch me, I feel the touch. That's because the sensory neurons in my brain fire and my skin tells me, the receptors tell me I have been touched. But if I see you touching somebody else, even then the sensory neurons in my brain fire. And these neurons which fire are called the mirror neurons. And now, if you touch somebody else, I don't feel the touch because my skin tells me I have not been touched. But suppose I give injection of anesthesia to my hand, and then I see you touching somebody else, I will feel the touch. This has been scientifically proven, and Dr. Ramachandran, who is doing these experiments, is a neurophysicist, Indian neurophysicist based in New York, he calls these mirror neurons empathy neurons, and the new name he has given these empathy neurons are Gandhi neurons. So now the idea of universal consciousness is no more a philosophical idea, it is a scientifically proven idea.
Yes, and it can also be called internationalism.
Internationalism. It is internationalism in political terms and common consciousness in philosophical terms. I think we hope that this is recognized and we all become true followers of Gandhi. I started with a quotation of Ravindra Kelekar that 21వ శతకంలో Tatso, Gandhicho. I will end with another observation which is done by another great personality called Ram Manohar Lohia. He is also the responsible for Goa's freedom struggle. Lohia says that the 20th century had only two powers, the atomic power and Gandhi power.